I'd like to give a demonstration on how to set crystal snap rivets. Crystal snap rivets are an awesome way to take your already beautiful silverware jewelry and embellish it and personalize it in ways that we weren't doing before. So what I'm going to show you is the traditional method, and then I'm also going to show you something I've come up with that I find works better. So I've just taken a scrap piece of silverware here, and I've drilled a couple of 1/8 inch holes, which is the size hole you need for the crystal snap rivets. And the traditional method is to put your crystal in the front, snap your cap on the back, set it on your rubber block, hit it with the hammer on the top in order to set the rivet, which I already went ahead and did. And you can see how that looks. Let me get this focused in here for you. You can see how that looks. Now, depending upon the thickness of the silverware you're working with, you may get a snug fit or you may have some wobble. And the thicker the silverware, the more snug it's going to fit. Unless you get into something that's very thick, and then you won't be able to get the cap on the back. But most of the pieces that I've worked with, I have been doing this successfully. So what I have found is if I use the arbor press, I feel like I get a much better compression. And let me explain how crystal rivets work. The little rivets on the bottom, they flare out during the application. So when you give them compression through the hammer or through the arbor press like I'm going to show you, the bottom flares out and fits wider into the bottom of the cap, and that's what keeps it in place. So I feel like I can get a better application by using the arbor press. So I'm putting the rubber block up on the arbor press, and I have, let me move this camera a little bit closer. I have taken a piece of a leather belt, and I put some Velcro on it, and I'm sticking it up on the bottom of the arbor ram. And that is to keep the cap from marring during the compression. So I'm going to put the rivet in the front and a cap on the back. Okay, I'm going to set that on the block, and I'm going to give it a nice firm press. You really only want to press one time. So if you press more than once, you run the risk of damaging the crystal. So hopefully you can see the amount of compression I get from using the arbor press gives me a better application of the crystal snap rivet. You can see it's lying flatter and more flush with the silverware, and I get almost no wobble whatsoever. If you feel you're still getting a little bit of wobble, you can always put a dab of E6000 in the bottom of the cap before your application. But I'm trying to show you everything here. I feel I'm getting a much better application by using the arbor press. Okay, so the next question is, what do I do when I've already bent the silverware? Because my suggestion is, if you're going to do these on bracelets, is to drill your holes first. Because it's much easier to drill a hole on a flat piece, obviously, than it is on a curved piece. So I've got it curved, but now how do I set the rivet in a piece that's already bent? I obviously can't really do it in this method that I was just explaining to you. So I found that it works by putting on my bender attachment and the block, and I'm using the largest roller. I like the largest roller for that purpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the rivet in this handle. And we're just going to pretend for a moment that this is a bracelet instead of just a piece of silverware that's bent, but you get the idea. Okay, so we've got that set in there. So now we're going to do the compression. Putting it underneath the roller. Let me get this focused in good for you. At the bottom of the roller, just look from the side to see that you've got it underneath the bottom center of the roller, and then press. And you can see what a really beautiful compression that I got. Nice and flat and flush. Now you want to be careful you don't press too hard or you're going to break the crystal. You'll crack the crystal. So only press it one time. Okay? So that's how you're going to put it into curved pieces, and it's going to be no different than if you did a ring or a bracelet. This ring, for example, was set using just the pin itself. Using the pin, keeping it underneath the center of it, and giving it compression to set it into a ring. So that's what you're going to do when you want to set crystal snap rivets into both straight and curved pieces.